Hello, people. I haven't really recorded my voice in a while, not in about 1.25 years, so if I sound like a completely different person, it's because of, I don't know, puberty, all that stuff. I originally wanted to carefully inhale helium to sound like the classic JPG for a while, but I don't actually feel like fatal asphyxiation today, so I won't do that. You shouldn't either. I probably also won't do it for official WC Foss content in the future, so you'll have to get used to JPG sounding like this from now on. Me and my close friend Guest recently uploaded an experimental pilot episode for a recorded version of our series Incident MU2 Remastered. Our current plan is to have 4 seasons with 7 episodes per season. For this behind the scenes video, I'm first revealing our recording process. After that, we're going to go over the main scenes, talk about all the mistakes we made, and then I might see how I made the soundtrack. Anyway, let's get to it. Our first step to recording would always be to go into the menu and make the chat box transparent. Then we would use the developer content to disable all the user interface besides chat. The reason you don't see a chat box saying start above someone's head is because we use a highly sophisticated signaling method called jump and hope the other person knows how long 5 seconds is. I think that in episode 2, we will probably use an alternative account running on my Mac, which means camera, and then I'll use Windows for the actual character of 85, aka Starman. I prefer cameras that aren't focused on one character because it's the third-person story, or I guess I could just play 85 because Eric is an old man who barely moves anyways because of his spinal condition. First, we have the A plot of the episode, which is all basically one clip. We actually had another part, but it got cut for 2 very good reasons. The first is time. The second is because we improvised this part and we genuinely forgot that Eric does not have F3X building tools, which does not even canonically exist. He's just an old guy. Anyway, I'll roll the clip here. Yeah, that's it. We trimmed it because it's not that important to the story, and it doesn't really make sense. We were also using Google Vids, so the time limit was 30 minutes. Guest recorded this one if you can't tell. Now onto the second clip. This statue works in an interesting way. It basically searches for anyone in the server with the username of Guest's alternative account that's all dedicated to Nami. And so Guest was in that account for the entirety of this clip. It has a statue of him that fades with him there and is slightly bigger to prevent some fighting. It makes the illusion of Nami being unfrozen from something like carbonite because it obviously needs to be a Star Wars ripoff. How did we end up like this, you might ask? Well, to answer that question, I'm just going to blame Snick because he plays Star Wars Tycoon. Anyway, we use a clone number 2 tool, which originates from my old game CCB, Condol's Chaotic Battlegrounds, whatever you want to call it, which was shut down by the Roblox Select update. Because we use tools, and I didn't want to show any backpack GUI because I think it looks ugly on recordings, I was forced to cut out the part where I opened and closed my backpack to unselect it, and then make a pathetic attempt to cover up the blatant seam in the day and night cycle. Here's that clip. You'll notice that my cursor completely skips to a different spot on the screen here. I think this should be proof to certain people that I'm not an AI. I edit like a human. Anyway, that's not the only part of Scene 2 that we cut off. Scene 2 was supposed to be around 1.5 minutes longer, and it ended up being a lot shorter. but something happened that caused that, and I find it hilarious. I opened my toolbar by accident. This is why I missed my old HP. We didn't get to record the part where they went down the mountain. Genuinely heartbreaking. Anyway, scene 3. This clip was one of the longest and it went generally undisturbed. Unfortunately, however, we still didn't end it on our own terms. You know why? See for yourself. I did it again! The only other note I have for this scene is the fireball that Nami is holding here is actually a modified version of F3X building tools that can spawn kill bricks. This is because what I called scripting in 2023 was just placing free models and then making very minimal modifications. Now for scene 4. There were actually 2 clips recorded for this, but the first one was cut. This cut one is the main focus behind this scene's coverage in this video, because the second clip was executed well, mostly. This wasn't cut on purpose. I think I actually forgot to include this in the pilot episode. What's interesting about it is that it's one of the only 2 clips in the pilot where we didn't record from the third-person camera of a character. Basically, the whole thing is just Nami going up the mountain. Now, the final clip was very tricky, mostly because we involved luau scripts and everything broke. This machine here is supposed to detect within a certain range for a Nami holding a full vial and then take it from him and put it here. I know what the problem was now. We accidentally set can touch to false on the detector sphere. I don't know why we did that. I tried to keep the script primitive for optimal performance, and I probably could have used get partial radius, but yeah. The way we fixed it was we just put the vial there, and Nami had a clone vial, so he walked up to the machine, I panned my camera away from the inner machine, and then he unequipped it to make the illusion that it worked. We figured out the strategy after 3 attempts, so here are those clips. Maybe I will release an extended cut on Hanson HTML, who knows. In case nobody noticed, though I think everyone did, in some of the clips, Nami's glowing. So why is that? Well, Guest has a script that gives him a highlight. We forgot to remove that, so me, Guest, and Snick are likely to just red shadow that is for those who seek the cubes or whatever. I have a recurring theory that Guest's favorite words are seek, find, and home. That's unrelated though. Speaking of Nami, in this one clip, he's also got a null point null tag over him and also the word players. This is because we forgot to turn off guest spell doors for this entire clip. That was a little embarrassing, to be honest. We have two other mistakes in the episode, ones that I've found at least. If you find more, please let me know. Both of these are in the monitoring office in clip 4. The first mistake is that we accidentally foreshadowed John Blind early, which doesn't happen until season 2. When Naomi is going through Clone 143's office, we see a board that has John's masked face on it, as well as a copy of John's bow tie on his desk. Again, we're counting this as foreshadowing. It's also ironic because 143 will actually play John Blind in the Half-Blind arc. Additionally, we accidentally showed an unfinished stub on the map, which we had actually planned to put something there for episode 2. We have to walk through a wall now because everything in the show that's shown in the pilot is completely canon. It is to be present in episode 2 and also in the game. I think everybody knows I use FL Studio. I'm actively tutoring guests in FL Studio. For anyone who doesn't know what FL Studio is, it's Fruity Loops Studio, developed by the former video game company ImageLine. They originally called it just Fruity Loops, and it was only a drumming program back then. Now it's one of the world's most popular professional freemium software for music composition. I found out about it from my friend Evan. But enough history. How do I actually make music? Well, what I teach guests to do is make a pattern that you find catchy, extend it to around 15 or 30 seconds. Then after that, you decide whether it's a chorus, verse, or bridge. You don't have to devote to any particular set of instruments either, just make good use of them. I'll leave a link in the description of this video for trying FL Studio. It's got a free trial and the trial goes on forever. The only difference between the trial and the owned version is that you can't have multiple sessions for the same song, or in other terms, you can't reopen your FL project files after you've saved and closed. To wrap this up, we'll see what Ghosty has to say about this. He's sleeping. Oh, goodbye.